Hello everybody, my name is MapleStory, and today I wanted to do something a little different. For those who don't know, 2025 is actually not only my 5th year of streaming on Twitch, but it is also my 5th year of making these Fire Emblem Heroes sprite animations, or FEHnimation as I like to call them. So I figured to celebrate 5 years of doing all of this, I figured we go back and take a look at some behind the scenes, starting with my very first animation that I ever done. So this video series is kind of gonna be very impromptu, very ad-libbed, unscripted, but that's just gonna be part of the fun. In fact, this is probably like my 5th time setting up this recording because of complicated issues with my computer. As this recording, my computer is dying. I am currently in the middle of editing Fire Emblem Jeopardy 2, which is killing my computer. It is killing my computer. For those who are wondering when that's gonna be, it'll probably be a while longer. I know I said I was gonna get it out by March, but that doesn't look like it's going to be the case anymore. I do apologize. I'll give a proper update on what's going on later, but for now, let's go ahead and take a look at 5 years in the past. This is actually my original file here that I used to make these Fire Emblem Heroes sprite animations. As you can see on the top over here, double converted, meaning that I had to convert this thing quite a few times over the years. So yeah, this was originally created in 2020, and I figured we start by showing you the sprite rigging. So the story goes on why I started doing all of this is that during 2020, the pandemic happened, and a lot of my school projects had to be canned in favor of other things. So at the time, I was very bored. We were going from like high video production projects to very mediocre whatever you can do at home, just because that's when the pandemic first hit. We weren't quite sure how we were gonna do things. All of these projects that we wanted to do got canned, and it was honestly kind of a depressing time for me. So I ended up kind of like looking online, seeing for things to do, playing a few things. Haven't started streaming yet, but that's when I came across the assets for Fire Emblem Heroes. I took a look at the sprites, and I realized that they were all dismantled, like limb by limb, dismantled, as you can see here. And that's when I thought, hey, why don't I throw this in After Effects or Photoshop, dismantle them there, throw into After Effects and try some puppet rigging, because around that time during my animations course, I did learn a little bit about what puppet rigging is and how that worked. And yeah, I did say After Effects. I do not use Animate for any of these animations, which is really bad. It's actually a really bad thing that I don't use Animate. Adobe After Effects is not a program made for animations like what I want to do, especially the things that I want to do in the future, but it is the only thing that I know how to use. And honestly, I've tried to teach myself Animate in the past, but it just didn't quite work out for me, so that's why I've kind of stuck to Adobe After Effects for the longest time. I know I should teach myself Animate sometime, but yeah, that's essentially the story on why I don't use Animate and use After Effects instead. But to go over the original sprite that I have ever rigged, yeah, this thing is not organized at all. I didn't start color coding my animation, my layers, until I want to say Project Echoes, which is like, yeah. Speaking of like not using using Adobe Animate proper for the proper animations, especially for the scale of animation that I want to do, we'll get to Project Echoes behind the scenes, because oh boy, would it have been useful to know how to use a proper puppet rigging animation program. But you know, you make do with what you know. Here as you can see, how the puppet rigging works, for those who don't know, is that I essentially, I guess, instead of like proper like rigging and things, I'm just basically taking a layer and parenting it to another layer. So if I were to move this right shoulder, it's all rigged up together, so everything attached to it moves. If I were to target this arm right here, if I can properly grab that, the arm, everything in the arm will, oh, I did not rig that correctly. Where's the fist? The fist is supposed to be to the arm there, but yeah, if I were to move the arm, the fist will also move too. And then of course the fist by itself will rotate by itself. If I were to take her entire upper body and move it, upper torso over here, everything attached to her upper torso will move around. If I were to take her head and rotate it, everything over there will move, but you can still individually move her bangs and her little hair tuffy thingy. And yeah, that's where it all started. I threw this in here and started messing around, and you know, they're very unorganized. Speaking of unorganized, you want to see how unorganized this original file is, because as you can see, I have come back to this file over the years. It's double converted, and essentially this is my solo file for everything I've done Bernadetta related so far. There's so many like look at this, it's not even properly labeled. A lot of comp 1, comp all the way up to comp 22 that I don't have like properly labeled. But if we go to the very first one, this is the original composition. This is the first animation I ever done with Bernadetta, even though it looks kind of off. But yeah, that's essentially what I messed around with first. I just had her lay back and playing around. We're just kind of like lazily like resting, and essentially this, some viewers may recognize this as my current, when you follow me or subscribe, or actually yeah, if you follow me on Twitch, this is the notification that pops up. And yeah, if we go to comp 5, this is essentially where it all begins. I have this all separated. Comp 2 is the original version of this Bernadetta playing with a plushie, but if I want to go original, we show Faye here. And I guess, like, to kind of talk about what inspired me to do this one in particular, I actually did submit this as part of my portfolio back when I was still in community college, and for all of our works that we submitted for our portfolio, our professor wanted us to go into detail on what we did, what this video is about, what we did, or any like, and I guess like to kind of fill up the description, I also included what inspired me to do every single one. So for this one, the inspiration for this one was Epic 7. I don't know how many people know what Epic 7 is, but it is a gacha game, my gacha game of choice, and my favorite character, Tamarine, has an idle animation. If you have her in your party, in the main menu of the game, in the lobby that we call it, she will be at the tavern playing with a plushie of like the mascot character Arky. So I kind of took that and I turned it into Bernadetta playing with the plushie, and yeah, that's exactly what I animated here. I just added a few more things. It was mainly that she snuggles with it that I kind of captured here. She doesn't like toss it up like this, but yeah, and this is the original version, so I like to point this out when comparing the original version to the version I have now, is that the reset is so obvious for the animation, for the loop, because she'll kind of like reset like an animatronic and then immediately go back into playing with the plushie. Frame 1, as you can see, she's kind of like Bernie reboot, beep boop. Bernie reboot, beep boop. But yeah, I changed it to be a little more fluid, so you don't really see when she resets her whole animation thing. And yeah, next, what do we have here? So those are all my AFK things. I think some of these animations were for other things that I can't quite remember. What was this one? Okay, I think these all lead into some. Oh, here we go. Wait, there it is. This was for my gift sub animation. Again, very unorganized. This is what plays when you subscribe, gift sub, etc. What else do we have here? Here's some animations that I have for when you donate bits. And it's all very simple. It's all very simple. Ooh, spoilers. Let's see. But by far, one of the fun ones that I have made in the past is oh, actually, there's a few things that I can showcase first, like this this Waku Bernie, as I call it. These are some of the emotes that I made over the years. Like I said, I kind of like reused this original file since I already had Bernadetta rigged up, and I used it to make my emotes. So this one was inspired, of course, by Komi-san. I blanked on the name for a second. Oh, here we have the Spirit Train that I took from like a concept art, but I used this for my I think this was my second 24-hour subathon that I ever did. Some sparkles that I used for the gift sub emote. I think they're all under like random comps. Oh yeah, here I essentially when Bernadetta won Choose Your Legends, I just made a little emote. I also have this emote here, this excited Bernadetta running across the stream, the screen rather, as like a trigger for when you like say GG on screen. You'll see this tiny little Bernadetta run across the screen. I think it might be this one. Oh yeah, if we go to Party Bernie, you'll just see the one Bernie running across the screen. That's essentially what happens when you like say GG in my chat. You'll see a little Bernie run across the screen. There's a lot of these that I have that are really fun, like the Wave Bernie, which of course is not properly labeled, so I have to find it somewhere in here. Here we go. This is like the waving Bernie that I have. This is actually for the emote. There's another one that I have where she like pops up and waves goodbye and then leaves when you say hi in my chat. If I can find it. It is. There's a lot of random crap. See, over the years, I did learn to, finally organize my stuff so that we're not constantly lurking. Oh yeah, here we go. I believe it's called the lurking Bernie trigger. So we have, this is what it looks like in its entirety. Then this is what you actually get to see. Just a lot of fun. I honestly have a lot of fun making these, and I look forward to making more, if only my computer could keep up. But now we get to one of the final ones that I want to show off today, besides the remaster, is the raid emote. Let's see, I might have to just type in raid. There we go. This was the original raid emote. I say original, but it's still my same raid emote, but here we go.
My door! Why?
Very, very classic, but for those who don't know, this is based off of Bernadetta's CISA part with Ingrid, where she busts down her door. There's a lot of moving parts to this, so we can go part by part. Of course, the Bernadetta over here is just a normal. It's just a hard cut into what's essentially this this Bernadetta that gets like shook, is like, so she'll be boop, just scared that, oh my gosh, someone ran into my door. I think we'll just keep it here, and so we can constantly go back. The Ingrid though, oh boy, the Ingrid. So this was before we had Ingrid proper in Fae. This is before we had Ingrid proper in Fae. This is actually one of the first, what I used to call sprite chimeras, but I later learned that the proper word for this in the spriting community is splicing. So this is the first spliced Fire Emblem Hero sprites I ever did, where I needed Ingrid in her normal uniform. So I took, at the time there was Summer Ingrid, just took Summer Ingrid. I believe this is Hubert's torso, Bernadetta's arms. I think I took Hilda's skirt. I actually had to color in, like, I think these are also Hilda's, but I had to color in her thighs, or like her stockings. So yeah, this was the first ever spliced sprite I ever did. And you'll see in the future, when we finally get to the other spliced sprites I did, and I would do some that are characters from Fire Emblem, and characters that aren't from Fire Emblem, like Guts from Berserk, Zoro from One Piece, and even the Goku and the Dragon Quest hero. It is awesome, Erdrick. It is cool. But we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, back to the whole raid emote. We get to the door, and the door was hilarious to work with. Ingrid's break-in, I believe, is just her breaking in. That's it. It's literally just her. This is it. I didn't really add any fluid animation to it at all. It's just her PNG like moving back and forth. But on top of that, I believe it's this. Here we go. The door. I cut out that. So if you're wondering what this door is, this is comp 3. I'll remember that. So Evan's room. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Evan room.png. It is flipped in my composition. This is a lot of my assets, besides coming from Fire Emblem Heroes, will come from MapleStory. Shout out to the MapleStory animation community. Been a big fan ever since I was in middle school. And then it's ever since then, like ever since starting working on these FEHnimations, if I didn't have a sprite in Fire Emblem Heroes, the next place I would look for is MapleStory, because MapleStory has a lot of good assets, and there's a reason why a lot of animations, sprite animations you might see on the internet, might use a little bit from MapleStory. Like they just have a lot of good assets. But essentially I reversed it, took the door in Photoshop and dismantled it piece by piece so that I can have a more authentic break-in rather than having the typical like the shatter effect in After Effects. It didn't look like it was doing it naturally, so I decided to do it manually, and it was a pain in the ass. It was very much a pain in the ass. But to make it look a little better, just have to make everything have motion blur, and it's all bingo bongo. And yeah, that is the raid emote, one of my favorite things that I have ever made. But now we get to the remaster, and yeah, to kind of show it off, I believe there is a different version of this. I think I labeled it as BRB, but I guess, let me see, Burby. Yeah, this one is if I were to have it full, oh, it actually renders kind of quickly. Okay, so yeah, it's basically just this all looped, and I added like some dust particles for ambience. So that's essentially what's the final product. But let me share with you the original shaded version, because all I did is that in 2022, I believe I made this. 2022, I went back to the original file. This is around the time, I believe, when we got the Winter Bernadetta sprite, so I was able to replace Faye with the plushie, and essentially I delayered everything to so that I can add more depth to things. As you can see, I kind of added like some shading and things, and I still think that this is the best shading I've ever done for a sprite animation. The others, I don't think I quite was able to capture like the ambience of the newer like things than I did with the original, probably because I did spend a lot of time working on this one to revamp it. As you can kind of see, like the shadows kind of move back and forth because of the light, and like Bernadetta herself is shaded, but essentially what I've used is a bunch of like different effects to like a lot of bevel effects to make it look like she has that shading over there like that, and then over here is just another effect on her. And then I believe these are like, yeah, the shadow for the bed. You can see I kind of have it moving back and forth so that it looks like it's matching the flickering of the lights, and even the light, I believe I just have it as a blend, and then it's just masked to have like that feathered effect. And then just the whole room is just more shaded. Essentially, yeah, like I have this is what it looks like without that shading, with the additional shading, just to make things like separate from everything. I believe I have the other part is like a kind of like a gradient I threw in the background, I believe. Yeah, or I guess that was a tent. It was just a tent. Yeah, it was just a tent. And that's all. I threw all those together. This is probably the best shading I've ever done with a sprite. It's great. I'm so happy with how this came out, and yeah, this was all my original Bernadetta works. It took a while for me to do. I'm very glad that I'm able to share a lot of these works. I was able to share a lot of these works with fellow Bernadetta fans, and I'm able to share like the background process with everybody here. I believe next time we do this, it's gonna be one of two things. I'm either gonna be making something new with everybody, something short and sweet to show like the mental process on how I actually put things together. And then the other thing that I wanted to do is, of course, move on to the next project that I've ever worked on, which, if I'm remembering correctly, it might be... Ooh, yeah, it's gonna be the Roy Super Saiyan 2 animation, which is where I started to take things up a notch in terms of layering sprites, because that is the first time I've ever dismantled like someone's face to make it more in-depth. I believe I made it to where Roy's original hair was like all one picture, but I removed it and I added more layers to it so that it can look more fancy, and I can have his hair moving back and forth in the wind. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, this was the first episode of Fire Emblem Heroes Animations Behind the Scenes with MapleStory17. That is me, I'm your host. Thank you all for stopping by, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.